Hi guys, it's Mew2King, and there's been a 45-minute presentation on Steve, showing pretty much all his moves. So now I get to theory craft on how good Steve will be, and my thoughts on each of these moves. So now I will start talking about his strengths and weaknesses, starting with his main attack, which is his neutral B on the ground, which is where he mines on the ground. Now this move, actually, what it does, you can actually, I want to mention before I forget, you can actually walk while doing it. There is footage of Steve actually mining while walking. So you don't need to just be doing that in place. You could actually do that while walking left or right. Your walk isn't very fast, but that's something to mention. It's not like you're quite a sitting duck. Now the speed at which you can mine is probably going to be 18 frames apart for each mine on the level 1 and 2. Level 3 will be 17 frames apart. The gold is 14 frames apart, and the diamond is 16 frames apart. I'm mentioning that because notably gold digs faster than the others, and diamond also digs pretty fast, and the first 3 dig slower, but it is not like a significant difference, but I just wanted to throw out that info. That's pretty much Steve's main move. Why do I say that? It's because you need to use this move in order to be a good character. So what does that mean? That means against characters who are trying to camp you, characters like Pac-Man who want to hide behind a fire hydrant and power up, characters like Sonic, or any other character who's trying to time you out so that they can do their setup, well, you probably need your setup more than they need their setup. Because let's say like Pac-Man becomes a slightly better character, and Sonic doesn't even become a better character at all. He just threatens the timeout, right? Well, Steve, he needs to do this in order to get off his wood weapons, in order to get into like gold weapons, iron weapons, diamond weapons. He becomes significantly better. Not only that, but he needs to be mining all the time in order for pretty much half his moves to function. Like his down air in the air, you need some iron. The minecart, you need materials. Your down B, the TNT, you need the common materials. Yes, you can use Sakurai said you can use the common materials. You don't need like gunpowder and stuff. The very common materials allow you to use down B. The blocks in air, they start with the common materials as well. And they use up the common materials like dirt and stuff first, and then it gets into the other weapons, which take longer to break. So if you don't have materials, you're pretty much a low tier. You're pretty much a low tier character if you don't get materials. What is that? That also means that Steve, how good Steve is going to be based a lot on the matchup. A character who's aggressive, who's going to rush him down the entire time with aggressive non-stop fighting, those characters are going to probably overwhelm Steve, and he's probably not going to be very good in those matchups. But characters who want to out-camp Steve, I think Steve is going to be very strong in those matchups. So how good the character is going to be is going to be heavily based on the type of character he's fighting. Rushdown will pretty much be his weakness, and out-camping characters will be his strength. Kind of similar to how Hero likes to out-camp characters. I find Steve pretty similar in that concept. Hero, Steve, Almar, like these characters, they want time to set up so that they can upgrade themselves. Almar wants purple Pikmin, Hero wants his oomph and psych up. And Steve needs materials. These concepts are similar. They want to power themselves up, and you want to give them time, or they want to get time to do that. His other B move is the blocks in the air. Now, I want to mention something on blocks that not many people might know, but I was counting it frame by frame, and blocks break 4 times faster if Steve is standing on top of them. So if Steve's on the block, they actually break 4 times faster. Also, not every material breaks as easily. Like dirt breaks the fastest, but if Steve is not standing on the dirt and the dirt is not being attacked by anybody, it lasts for almost 3 seconds. And that's the fastest breaking material. Of course, near the ledges, it breaks faster, but yeah. And then other materials, like I think it was like iron or steel or something, like some of those last like close to 5 seconds. So like almost 3 seconds for even the weakest materials. That means it's what you can do as a strategy. If like somebody's like a young Link or Samus is like shooting their projectiles at you, you can just place a block. Like at the beginning of the match, you just place a block, and then you hide behind the block. And then you use your crafting table in order to upgrade. You either use your crafting table to make something, or if you don't have enough materials yet, you dig up materials. Both of these things take time, and by hiding behind a block to stop projectiles, you get the time you need. That means projectiles might not be the greatest against Steve, at least not ones that go in a straight line across the ground. Well, although Pikachu's neutral B will probably not care about that because it will bounce. It will probably go over the wall unless it breaks it, but we don't know that yet. But most projectiles will be stopped by it. So Steve will be pretty decent against projectile characters. One weakness of Steve I want to mention is that actually Steve is going to have difficulty without a shield. Why? Because his grab doesn't come out till frame 13, and that means it's frame 17 out of shield. And his little sword attack, it's actually a pretty fast move. It comes out on like frame 4, which means out of shield it might be 7. So he might need to be doing like nairs out of shield. Like that's going to be his fastest move. Is like you probably want to power shield, or you want to roll away, or you want to like nair to shield, because other than that you don't really have fast out of shield options. And even when you hit like your sword attacks, the basic nair, like they're fast. It comes out on frame 4, and the total time is 15 frames for the rapid hits. For gold, it's frame 13 and 13 total time instead of 15 total time. Comes out on frame 3 instead of 4, respectively. But yeah, it's not a very strong attack. It's mainly just, hey, I'm just gonna get some quick damage, get away from me. But I'm going to go back to talking about blocks real quick. So there's one thing I was theory crafting could be really interesting. Like it showed how you could place blocks to block Pikachu from recovering, right? But what I didn't really get to see is how blocks interact with the ledge. What if you place a block over the ledge? Does this stop the opponent from grabbing it? Let's say Bowser's below ledge and up being, what happens? Does he grab ledge anyway? Does the block break? Does he hit his head on the block? And then what happens after that? Can Bowser up B again? Or how does these interactions happen exactly? How did they decide to program it? And that will determine how good blocks over the ledge are. Also, there's a lot of potential by placing blocks like to cover get up attack, normal stand, ledge jump, ledge roll, besides just blocking recoveries and two-framing. I feel like there's a lot of potential here, and there's just not enough info from what we've seen to see how very specific situations will interact. And as I said, block over the ledge, that very specific situation, for example, the way that interacts could very, very greatly influence how good or bad Steve is as a character. These little details we don't know until the character comes out, but these factors will be very important and should be probably tested immediately to see how does it interact, because this could potentially be a super broken in the best case scenario for Steve, or worst case scenario if you don't play him. The blocks are very interesting. I think it comes out in frame 4 or 6 or something, and you can just place them below you. It's really good for like you're getting juggled in the air. You can just stop how you're falling, and it's hard to get frame trap. Like, you know how some characters, like let's say Lucina, especially offline, Lucina like will want to frame trap you, right? Because you only have so many options in the air, right? But Steve can just be like, nope, I'm going to place a block here and stop my momentum. You can't just option select me the way you can with like most of the cast, because he has unique properties. So he is going to have mix-up trees for recovering, mix-up trees for landing. These are some good options that he's going to have because of the blocks. So there's a lot of potential there. Now I want to talk about something that is a repeating theme that I noticed with Steve, where he's very, very strong in a specific area. Now, I mentioned this for Min Min, but I think it applies even more for Steve and more consistently and easily, which is also very important. I mentioned how Steve is a very good character against people who want to camp you, right? Because he plays the camp game better. Like, he becomes 3 times better as a character, where another character gets like 1.5 times better. Now, of course, Steve's going to take that every day of the week. But there's one very important thing that I want to mention that he's amazing at, and that is two-framing, ledge guarding and edge guarding. Ledge guarding is when you like stand on stage and you want to trap people at the ledge, which I already mentioned in my prior video. TNT will be very good for that because it's a giant explosion. It can two-frame, it can hit people off the stage, going to the ledge, and cover a bunch of ledge options, and it looks like it's very active for a long time. Consider this. When you're at 0% on the ledge, not many people know about this, but when you're at 0% on the ledge, you have like 70 frames or so of invincibility as long as you don't touch the control stick. But it's only around like 30 or 31 frames or so if you're at like, let's say, 160% or so. That means people have to pick an option really fast. And considering how big and appearing to be long-lasting that TNT explosion looked, it looks like it's going to cover a lot of different options. Then you also have things like the pressure plate. Maybe you can do like a pressure plate at like, let's say, roll distance. If they ledge roll, they hit by the pressure plate, for example, and then explode from TNT, or you can explode it yourself with the pressure plate at the moment you think you need to two-frame them or to catch their get-up options. And you can also do things like, let's say, I already mentioned blocks around the ledge, but you can also do things like, I didn't even talk about up smash. You can up smash at the ledge, and the reason that could be good is it can catch like normal get up, and it can also catch the very common and popular option, which is a ledge jump. Ledge jumping is very popular and common, so you could place the up smash there to cover ledge jump. So besides two-framing, there's just, even if you don't want to go for two-framing for whatever reason, there's so many options you can do just to trap them and cover different options, and making the risk reward very favored for you. And, even if you're wrong, it's not a huge deal because, you still have center stage and it's not like you're going to take damage or anything. So there's just so many possibilities, not just for two-framing, but also for ledge trapping with this character. And this is some areas I think the character is going to excel with. And the amount of possibilities is hard to think of all the options at once. but he has so many ways to be creative in different matchups or different situations. It's like really fun and crazy to think about. But it's something I think that might be overlooked or underlooked, I mean, that could be very good, and that's his down tilt. Now, both Steve's down tilt and down smash both come out on frame 12. However, his down tilt looks extra good to me because it looked like it's active for like half a second or so. So you basically, you place the little fire there, right? But then gravity causes the fire to just go down slowly, covering the ledge for about half a second. Now, the angle it hits at is like a 45-degree angle if you don't DI. And I'm not sure what the total time is. You might be able to combo it down to the fair, but it just looks like a free hit. That's the key takeaway here. It looks like a free hit. A very large amount of the cast. Like, imagine Palutena just teleports to the ledge, and you're just like, well, I can't stop her very, very easily with most characters. But Steve's like, nope, I'm just going to place an active hitbox here for like half a second that has a very, very high chance of hitting you. Now, that's just one of his many moves that he has. Down smash, it didn't look like it went as low, but it hits at a very low angle. So it's going to be really hard to say where the best use for that is. You might maybe use it to catch landings. Maybe time it for a normal ledge stand if it's active enough. That might be a good use, kind of like Game Watch likes to down smash normal ledge stands. Or on certain matchups, you might be able to two-frame. But now that will have to be tested in detail because it's hard. You can't just tell where the hitboxes are by looking at the video. That's something you have to test specifically. But if it does, you can like hit them and kill them at like 50% because of the angle it will send them at, and they don't get the double jump back in this game, so they can just die. So you have down tilt over ledge, potentially down smash at the ledge, which can be used on stage or for two-frame, depending on what ends up being better. Block over ledge, or blocks to cover different options around the ledge, since we don't know how these interactions are going to happen, as I explained earlier. TNT, which is just going to be amazing for like, you just place it near the ledge. If they get up attack into it, they get destroyed. If you predict when they're going to jump, they get hit. It's going to be difficult to normal stand a shield. Probably does good shield damage. Will catch rolls. Might two-frame. There's just a lot of potential with that giant lingering explosion. You also have moves like forward air and back air, which it's pretty decent speed. Kind of reminds me of like a Piranha Plant forward air, but it's better because I think it's like there's like a spike hitbox on it. So like you can either just hit them away, like for an overhead slash, and then it'll either hit them away or it spikes them down to the ground. And then the back air, it's slower, but it's even stronger, and then you can just kill them immediately. And then you have the down air, which is the anvil. That uses one iron, but it's basically, at first I thought it was like, oh, this is a Ridley down air. But then Sakurai showed in his video today, it's not like a Ridley down air. You can jump out of it. So imagine Kirby's rock. You know how Kirby likes to rock to edge guard? Yeah, I'm sure we all done that, right? Well, now you can use anvil, but then you can just be like, hey, well, I'm going to drop the Kirby rock. I'm just going to jump off of it. And if I miss, whatever, I'm still on stage. I still have center stage. If I miss, it's not a huge deal. I lost one iron, whatever. Not the biggest deal in the world. And then that thing, it looked like it did like 17 damage or something when Sakurai did it to like the computers or something. It just looks like a very solid move that's just good. Like, he could just down air and just jump off it. Like, they have to get to the ledge at some point if they're far away. So that's yet another way. So you have moves like down tilt, maybe down smash, maybe blocks over ledge, TNT, down airs, forward airs, back airs. You have so many moves you can use over the ledge. In my opinion, the down tilt will be the most consistent of them, but there's so many possibilities just for two-framing. And two-framing is something you can do on every single character. Now, obviously, you can still edge guard for like forward airs and back airs and stuff, or if you don't even want to bother edge guarding them, you can still farm. So he's going to be really good at, what does all this mean? That means since he's good at these situations when he's in the advanced state here, that means that he's going to be, one of his game plans should probably be just to hit you away from him. Like, if you're in his face, wants to like, be like, get away from me. And then he gets to set up, he gets to farm, he gets to build forts or whatever, he gets to power himself up, and if they're off stage, you want to go for the two-frame, at least do the down tilt or something. And I feel like these are things that underlooked moves because, they're not as special moves. They're probably not things people are thinking about, but as a competitive player, these are some of the things I think about first. So these are some of the things I thought would be really good to mention. Now, as I said, to fight against Steve, you're going to want to rush down. So you just want to get in his face. His outer shield's not very good. Even if he hits you with like narrative shield or something, it's just not that much damage. It's not the biggest deal. As long as you're fighting him aggressively and he does that way, you get to play without his strengths, playing to your best strengths. And I can also see Steve, depending on his teammate, he could be a pretty good doubles character probably. If his teammate cooperates with him, if your teammate's not cooperating with you, then yeah, he doesn't seem that good because he's not good up close. But if you have chemistry for a teammate, I can see there being like a lot of potential there with all the setups. But yeah, these are some of the thoughts I wanted to give on Steve because these were some of the things that I think people are going to overlook they're just going to look at the main moves and be like, oh, these are the special moves Sakurai talked about and stuff. But they're not thinking, okay, how does this application work? How would this work in a high-level tournament setting? Like, I think these are really interesting points of view, and I just wanted to give my thoughts because I think these are very important to determine how good a character is competitively, in my opinion. That's it. I hope these thoughts give you some, things to experiment with in your head, just theory craft with over the next 10 days before the character's released. And obviously, when October 13th comes, I'm gonna be working on, trying to get as good as possible, trying to learn as much as possible. I'm gonna make another video, probably many videos. Might even use them in tournament, try them out, try all this stuff out, and just see what I can do with this character. That's it. Now you're probably wondering, is Steve good? Well, the answer to that question is, in my opinion, yes. But the biggest factor is going to be yes based on the matchup. He's going to be very, very good at certain matchups and very bad at other matchups based on how well the opponent can fight aggressively or how well that specific player can fight aggressively. So those are my current opinions based on info I currently have. Hope you guys liked this video. Make sure to comment below and give me your thoughts on it if you think this character is good. I think the character will be good. And even in the matchups he's not amazing at, the fact that he's so consistently good at two-framing, which is so important in every matchup, I feel that that's something that can't really be understated. So, yeah, these are pretty much my thoughts. Before you guys go, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell. Click on join if you want to become a member, and I'll see you guys next time.